Welcome to Thrifty Garage. My name is Carson, and in today's video I'll be showing you how to install custom LED Christmas lights on your home. I'll be sharing my professional tips and tricks for installation. We'll also go on site and show you how it's done in the real world, and then we'll come back and do some workbench tutorials and show you an in-depth, precise video of how I do everything. This is not going to be a short 5-minute video. It's going to be an in-depth video on how to install Christmas lights, so be sure and stick around. When I install Christmas lights, my main objective is a professional and clean look, and my second priority is quick and easy removal after the new year. I want to be able to remove the lights from the ground without having to get a ladder out in a fraction of the time that it took me to install the lights. And in this video, I'll share my installation techniques in order to enable that quick removal, as well as in a future video, I'll be showing that removal process. So be subscribed to the channel and hit the notification bell so you can see that future video. Now without further ado, let's get back to the video. Here's a look at the two main type of bulbs you're going to come across. On top here we've got the C9s, and on the bottom here we've got the C7s. LED lights are a lot brighter than the old incandescents, and they're just far superior. Here's a good example of why you don't want to use incandescents. Very fragile, breakable, excessive energy consumption, etc., etc. So back to the bulbs. I prefer C7 LEDs. They're easier to work with. The bulbs are less bulky. The main reason people back in the day went with C9s was just for the extra light output from incandescents. Now you can get quite a bit of output from just the LED bulbs, so no real competition there. Here we've got the classic look with the smooth bulb. These are supposed to be kind of a retro replica type bulb, and these ones are supposed to kind of help disperse the light. Okay, here's a look at the same bulbs with the power off. These do have different size sockets. I can't remember which is which, but I believe one's E12 and one's E17, and that basically just describes the size of the socket that these screw into. Really simple on how these work. Obviously you've got one contact here, one contact on the bottom, and then you've got the same inside there. For those of you that don't know how bulbs work. So there's just a quick look at these. One thing to note when we're looking at these is the clips that are used on these are universal, and obviously they're going to be stretching bigger to go around this bigger socket on the C9s. But aside from that, like I said, I use the C7s, really kind of a personal preference, and shouldn't really affect the content we discussed today on installation. Here are your most likely color combinations. We've actually got two different types of white here. We've got warm white, which is more of a yellow tone, and we've got the cool white, which is more of a blue tone or a clean, clear tone. We've got green and red, and then multicolor. These are your normal Christmas lights. There's also blue, orange, yellow, and I actually did orange, yellow, and the warm white for Halloween. So that's kind of a candy corn type colors. I believe there's also a purple. So lots of color combinations. Again, back to Christmas. A lot of people I see do all white, or they'll do a combination of red and white, or red, white, and green, or multicolor. Sometimes people will do two reds and a white, or two whites and a red. Lots of different options for a nice, clean, unique look. So today I'm going to be showing you how to do custom lights, and the way we do that is with these male and female connectors. It allows you to splice in wherever you need. If you really want to go full on custom, this is the common 12-inch spacing wire you're going to get from most places. This is very, very common. You can actually buy these sockets individually, and you can even insert them every 6 inches, or if you want, you can buy blank wire and put them whatever lengths you want apart. You could do 10-inch spacing, 14-inch spacing. Again, the standard here is 12-inch spacing, but if you really want to go custom, you really can have endless options. I think the more common one is going to be every 6 inches if you're really wanting to kind of up your game, do something different. And these just have a cap that pop on here, and you just determine where the middle of the wire is and pop those caps in. Very similar to how I'll show you how we do these connectors. Here's all the tools you need for installation. Obviously a ladder. These little giant type ladders work great. I picked mine up on sale at Lowe's, and it's been wonderful. I also have a long 22-foot extension ladder, pair of pliers, pair of wire cutters. These were good for me last year. Did a good job. Usually use these But this year I made the upgrade to these Knipex, and I'm loving these. I have not used these at all this year. So these are my tools that I've been using. The reason I like these Knipex for Christmas light installation, they open up the right amount, but they don't change where they're at. You push this button to adjust them, go up or down, and then you pick your place, figure out where it's at, and it stays there. Really loving that with these. They also just feel nice, good quality. One thing I was noticing today is how they've got the handle grip goes in through this slot. You know, with these other set of pliers I've got, this handle's trashed, it's falling off, it always slides down. With this plier like this, that's never going to happen. This is never going to slide off and slide down. Okay, when it comes to socket wire, you got two different options. You can get it on 100-foot lengths, which I actually prefer. This particular brand actually provides an additional 23 or 25 feet of just regular wire on the end, so that gives you an extra length. So you can see here, all of this wire is comes on the end. So that's what I consider kind of a freebie. Really, this 100-foot length is what a lot of homeowners are going to need. Most houses I do start around the 75-foot range and go up to 150, 200 feet for kind of a standard house for the front face. If you're going crazy and doing the sides and all that, usually you're going to be in the 300, 400, 500 feet range. And then in this big box here, we've got a spool, and this is a 1,000-foot spool. So if you're doing multiple houses, multiple installs, this is the way to go. The spool is a little bit less expensive, obviously, per foot. For most homeowners, 100 foot is going to work perfect. With the bulbs, these come in a pack of 25. So if you're doing every other one, just keep in mind that if you have a house with 102 feet, you're going to need 3 bags of each color, and you're going to have 24 of each, 24 left over in each bag for that extra couple feet. So something to keep in mind. I believe these universal roof clips come in bags of 50 or 100. I want to say it's 100 per bag. So here we got the timer. All of my clients love this timer. Here's a look out of the box. So this timer has 2 plugs on the bottom here, and we've got a variety of settings. It's a photocell timer, and you can do on, off, or once the sun goes down and it senses that it's dark out, you can set it up for 2, 4, 6, or 8 hours, or you can also go dusk to dawn. So depending on how long you want your lights on for, this is a great option. I would definitely do this or some other type of timer. Some people plan on just using a light switch or whatever, or plugging it in, but this is totally worth the extra money to spend. If you're going to go out and spend all this money on lights, you might as well have a nice timer. Here we have a good example of when to face your bulb upright. We've got this leaf guard for the gutter. We can't get back underneath here. So really the only place we can clip on is the shingles, but because these shingles are covered by the rain gutter from underneath, if we pointed these bulbs downward, they would not be visible. And they don't really sit very well in there. They just can't be seen very well. So it's not optimal. Water can run down the bulb and go inside there. But this is about one of the only times that I run them that way. We look on this other side here. We've got a short section where we end here before we jump up to this other spot. So this is a good example of when we can use this wire without sockets in it to get a little bit of an extension, bring it up to the next run, and then start going again. When we come to the end of a line here, I always kind of decide, you know, it may not always be practical all the way to the end, so sometimes starting here is fine. As well as you can see here, I ended that bulb about 4 inches shy, and I've got all my wires tight. All the way to the other side it's tight. So I want that corner to be as far out and proud as possible, and so this one back in the corner where it's not visible, no one's going to notice. If we look up top here, one way we can determine where we want to end is actually by starting on that end and running back this way, and that'll decipher where this ending is. And over there we may not want to go all the way to the end anyways. Going right up against the house there might look a little bit odd. Okay, different roof clips. This is the clip that I use. This is a universal roof clip. We got the shingle tab and we've got the gutter tab. This holds onto the shingle if you're going under the shingle, or if you're going under the gutters. This one goes inside. We got outside facing forward. And this clips on to your bulb wire. It works really well. You can also run wires through here. You see we've got like a little eye hole there and one on the opposite side here. You can run wire through there and it holds really well. Another one that I picked up this year for a special install are these. These are intended for to go underneath shingles as well. If you want your bulb pointing outward, you slide your bulb through there and you clip it on your bulb, and so you can have all your bulbs facing outward. Again, when I install my bulbs, I always try and have them facing down so the water runs off of them, or outward when it's on the gutters, and that just keeps most of the moisture and condensation out of that bulb. That's where all the issues are. If there's water in that socket, that's when these will stop working. The LED bulbs have no issues. So back to these clips. I don't use these for the shingles. I always use these ones, but I had a special circumstance this year doing lights around a window. So you can also get these tabs which slide into this V-notch. And so what I did there is I picked up some of this Scotch 3-mate adhesive and stuck these clear adhesives on the back side here, and then stuck these to the vinyl window. So these will stay on the window, and then when I go to remove them, the clip will come off with the lights, and then this clear plastic piece will be left on the house until next year install. This is my first year doing that, so we'll see how this hold up, but I think it's a really good option. I did not put them on the window glass, although they're pretty see-through. I put it on the vinyl around the window, but you wouldn't even know that they're there, looking at it from 10 feet away. So this is, again, the main roof clip. These work pretty good for reusing them. I usually plan on replacing about 10 or 20%. When you remove them early January, which is best to do, don't wait. If you remove them in early January, you beat a lot of the sun damage. If you leave it up till March, April, May, the sun's going to destroy these things. But when you're removing it in January, it's going to be cold, and so these will break when you remove them. So keep in mind, these are kind of a disposable product, but they are necessary. So every year when I take them down, I save these for the next year. One easy way that I found to install these roof clips is obviously find your orientation. These ones we're doing facing up with the shingle tab down. And if you've got a flat surface like on the roof here or even on the ground, you just press this down and it just pops right on. You can try and hold the bulb and pop it on. That seems to be easier. It holds pretty flat, and then you don't pinch your fingers or get your knuckles all beat up and stuff. As I unspool my socket wire, I like to run it from the right side of the roof to the left. Doing the bulbs upside down like this really messes up that theory. The reason I do that is so that the back side of the clip, the one without the hook on it, is the one facing my roof clips. And by flipping these upside down, we've got these clips in the way. It just makes it more difficult, harder to hold on. The C9s don't really hook up that way. The alternative to that is actually hooking that loop over top of this, which is kind of difficult. Best way to do that is to kind of roll it around and go like that, and then it fits a little bit tighter in there. That's a lot of work too, so just clipping it on tends to be the best way. Okay, here you can see where these are in the way. That's one thing I'll do. Sometimes I'll just snip these off if we've got the wrong orientation. That tends to work out the easiest. You want to have that blank side facing towards whatever you're hooking onto. So with these gutter roof clips, the tab goes on the back side and they clip over the gutter. Some gutters are different, some have higher tolerances. These ones work perfect on these. And then I always face my bulbs out and just clip on. Hold it tight from the one next to it, getting tight, and then the next one tight. We're good to go. Sometimes it's difficult to get these tabs to go under. They get caught on stuff. One easy way to fix that is to actually bend this over so that it's pointing upward. Then it won't snag. Or it's not as likely to snag on stuff underneath there. If you get underneath here, sometimes these will stick down. You kind of have to pop up on them, and there'll be a tar paper back behind there that'll get snagged on sometimes as well. With shingle clips, we want them to be underneath the shingles, so they're actually opposite in regards to how they clip onto the bulb, just upside down. Again, you want to make sure that the clip side doesn't have the hook on it, and then you want to go up and under. So with the shingle clips, underneath here you've generally got tar paper, you got your drip edge here, and then you've got 2 sets of shingles. So your clips going on there can either go underneath in between the 2 sets of shingles if they're not attached to each other, or generally in between the drip edge and the shingles works best. And obviously you wouldn't want to do the shingles if you can put it on the gutter, because the gutters will block that and prevent it from being seen. Here at the end of this run, we got this wire here. It's also in a valley of the roof. So one thing I'll try and do is actually tuck this up. Tuck this underneath there and bring this wire up. Tuck it on the back side there. Try and keep it out of the water as best as possible. So that wire's running underneath there, up here. We got that valley here. Now it's kind of pulled up and away, so it's not going to get buried in water. When I'm adding bulbs, I like to have the power on. It makes it easier to see. You got it screwed in all the way, they light up. But when you're cutting in the wire, you want to make sure you unplug that. So we got this unplugged. So this line of wires is now cut on power. So we can cut right there and add our splice up to that point, and then keep running the socket wire. Okay, once you determine where you want to cut it, power's off, get a pair of dikes. Cut it. I like to snip the end. Just run your dikes right inside the wire there, and that just helps with the next step. So here we've got our male and female ends, and here's that slide-on cap. This cap slides on and it presses this in. And here's a look inside. We've got little vampire sharks in there, and those puncture the wire. The easiest way for me to remember this is the fat side. You get 2 spades. The fatter of the 2, this back one. That spade, that prong, needs to puncture the wire that has the ribs on it. So the reason we split this wire is inside here where this goes, there's a divider to keep those wires separate. So as you push that down, that helps just divide it. Okay, there's our wire pushed in. Now we just fold it over. And these females can be used in line, so you can see we've got this little piece right there, that little rectangle, that can be broken out, and this can actually be spliced in line. Channel locks or Nipex work really well for this. I got these from KC Tool. These work better than channel locks because they've got this push button, so it's actually set there. Channel locks will slide around and these will stay put. So I've been using these all day on lights. Haven't had to adjust it once, whereas channel locks I would have had to multiple times. Okay, we got our female ready to go. Now we can add our male section of wire. So for that I've got this 250-foot roll of what I call naked wire or lamp wire. Basically it's the same wire we're using for the socket wire, but it doesn't have sockets installed, so you can run this however long you want. Like I said, 250-foot roll. I've gone lengths of 50 feet, no problem. You could do heck 250 feet of it. So really good option, cheaper than an extension cord. This is a 250-foot roll of wire. That might be more than what your needs are. I looked this up on Amazon, and you're right about $60 for this roll. This usually lasts me 5 or so houses, maybe more, maybe even up to 10 houses. So good stuff. Beats extension cords, definitely. And it's easier to hide. You could tuck it underneath vinyl siding. Definitely recommend. And really it's a necessity. Like when you're up on a roof, if you have any spacing between roof lines or ridge lines, this is what I run from point to point, whether it's a couple feet or 5 or 10 feet. This gets the job done. Okay, got this plugged back in. Here's a look at that connection. Again, we've got this clipped on right here. Hold it up there. little extender down to that piece. There's that one that ended it perfect. About 2-3 inches away from the wall there. Started here, right on the corner, ran back this way to wherever it ended. A little bit shy here, and down there we're a little bit shy on that end as well. But little details like this is what makes for a nice clean install. From the street, you have no clue, but you don't have extra bulbs. Everything looks nice and clean. Corners are well lit up. All the small details. Okay, here we're looking at the lights again. I know I said every single one of these pull super tight. See how tight these are? Here's one area where we don't want them tight. Here I'm sitting on the peak. If I were to pull all of these tight, this one would roll over top of the peak and be 4 inches past the peak. So on these peaks, I tend to leave them loose. I'll start in the middle, put the middle one in, and then as I'm going down, I'll pull them tight, but then I'll back it off an inch or so. And every single one will just back off a tiny bit. So again, from the street, you can't even tell that they're, not exactly 12-inch spacing. 11 inches, 11 and a half inches, whatever, how much slack you have. Sometimes I get I get these where they'll be, just a little bit shy, and I'll have to pull a whole new, 10-inch section over, even on a run this short, and you just have to make them fit. Okay, here's a good example where we can use a female connector and do an inline connection where we're removing this tab. Down here we've got power coming up, going up to this other section of roofing. And so right here I want to add a female in line so we can start a new line to go on this outer edge to go along this roof line. These gutters are pretty close together, so we could tie in this way as well. But since we're pulling in power from this other side, this will work well, and it'll be a good example of the same type of situation where the roof lines are further apart. So these tabs are pretty easy to break. I've got my needle nose pliers on my Leatherman, as well as these dikes that I use to cut the wire with. I'll just grab that end right there usually and just pry up. Again, I'm doing this one-handed so I can film. You can see how easily that broke. So usually I'll hold on to the other end. Breaks off pretty easy. So now we've got to pass through. So now we just need to find the orientation on our wire. We can put that right on our wire and then put our cap on. I always try to go through the factory fitting way with the cap. Seems to slide on better that way. Really quick and easy. I'll show you when it's finished. Okay, here's a look at that cap going on. Super clean, easy install. Looks like a factory plug. No one will know the difference. So here I'm going to show you how to remove this. If we look at this cap, it slides on one way, and so we need to slide it back out the same way it came on. So I just grab it up here and pop it off like that, just get it started, and then usually you can wiggle it back and forth while pulling down on it. It comes right up. You can see where these are puncturing through. There's extra pressure, where this is putting down pressure on those, and that's what actually gives it a good connection. So we pull this back up. We can look on the back side here, and you can see where this vampire teeth clip into here, the wire. If you end up pulling these caps off and reusing them for whatever reason, always be sure to cut off the end of the wire. You don't want to have those exposed and getting corrosion in your wire. So there we go. That's how it's done. Okay, let's go ahead and show you how to install these male fittings. The male and female install the same way. I just take off about a 1/4 inch there in the middle and just divide that. Here's the instructions that come with it. These are polarized plugs. So the one with the wider blade is the white wire, and the ribbed wire is the white wire. So we want to ensure that the wider blade here, which is this one, that prong is on the right hand side. We want to ensure that our ribs are on that side as well as we put them in here. Not sure if we got enough light. So you can see down there, there's a divider. The reason we clip that is so that when we push this in there, it'll slide between the divider and hold those two exposed wires out. And then I just kind of pull it down, pull it tight. I try not to wiggle it around too much once I'm to this point because those clips are starting to puncture and I want to keep them in that same spot. We just slide our clip on here. Get it started, and right about there is where it starts to get tight, and then that's where we come in with these pliers and just finish it out the rest of the way. Nice, clean, easy install. Now let's say we're in the middle of a wire somewhere and we want to drop down to another light, or we've got a peak and we want to drop down to a lit up star or a lit up reef or whatever it is. These have the ability to pop this out. You basically just pull back and then twist. Really easy to do. Again, we need to pay notes to where our white wire is. These are a little bit hard to tell. Easiest way for me to tell is where the factory connection goes in. That is the white side. So the wider blade is on this side. Another easy way is to actually take a male and plug it in, and then we know what side the wide blade is on. So as we're going into this wire, we just need to look again and see where our clip is, and then orient that the exact same way. And we can push our wire on, and then we slide in. Try to slide it in the same way. Again, from the factory side to the factory side. Now these are a little bit more difficult now that we don't have a place to put our pliers, so I just put them off to the side there, and then careful not to score your other wires. Okay, so now we've got a female there, and then we can go to the other end of this wire, wherever that may be. We've obviously got a male on the other side, so we want to have a female on this side. We don't ever want to do a male and a male connection, because once you plug this one in, these two prongs are live, and if you touch them, you'll feel voltage go through your hand. So definitely don't do it like this on a longer run. You always want a male on one end and a female on the other end. And then again on this female one, that white or wide blade is closer to the front here, so we know our ribs can be on the left-hand side here. Again, we split that wire, press it down in there. Get it started. Now all this can be done from the roof. I try to do as much on the groundwork as I can. There you go. When you connect onto these, one way you know you're always doing it right is it always goes like this. So if you imagine like an extension cord, it kind of just continues going down. The alternative would be if you were to mess up your wiring, they'd go this way, and then if you were going straight, you'd have this loop. But if you got your polarized options right, you know that should line up that right way. Okay, I got our light on the end there, dictating our spacing, and there's our plug. Used that roof clip up there to hold it tight against the house so we can tuck it as close to the house as possible and keep it hidden. We'll keep running lights up to this ridge. Okay, done with all that. Came up to the peak and back down. Got this run. Let's see if we can break this and see what's inside. So here we've got these pair of pliers. I have no clue what's going to happen here. So all my might just goes on that. Where'd this go? So here's our LED inside. You can see our chunk of glass. So this stuff is really thick. I've dropped these on the ground before. They don't burn out like the old ones. If you dropped them that far, they'd be burnt out. The reason I was okay breaking this one is because it was no longer working or functioning. If you look in here, there is some black. I think this might have got water inside of it, and that's what caused it to go bad. I rarely see these go bad. I rarely see them bad out of the box, and I rarely have problems with them over the years. Really good using LED bulbs. I don't see a reason why you wouldn't use them. Thanks for watching this Thrifty Garage video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And if you aren't already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe now. Thanks for watching Thrifty Garage. Like what, 10 cents a foot? No, that's wrong. Don't do math on camera. Scratch it. Oh, next thing.